And I think we're recording. Yes, we're recording. Excellent. So what we're going, let's sit a second here. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're starting on page 4. You know what's on page 4 because it's page 4 of 20 is written in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm sitting next to a window, which makes me look very etheric. Ooh. So after class, I'll send you a link where you can get supplies. For instance, something like this. It's a Buddhist rosary. In Sanskrit, we call it a mala. It's kind of like a contemplative abacus. But since you're following along with the video, it'll be much easier. So the first thing we'll notice is there's at the very top, in very small print, it reads, "The first noble truth of stress." And then there's instructions in yellow. Count the mala upon the right little finger while simultaneously touching your left little finger to its thumb. So this gesture helps us to connect into fixed fire, which can make us very charismatic, and it's kind of like the natural born leader archetype. So you'll notice, oh, by the way, Yankee, when you were a kid, did you study music?
Some the piano. Right now I'm the guitar.
All right, so you know how in musical notation, after about 6 months, you can play virtually any non-virtuoso piece on your instrument if you learned musical notation. Mm-hmm. Well, to the left, we'll see something that says in breath. Below that, we see something that reads converse. And that's what I like to call contemplative notation. And after it, there's a colon. So, and then it follows the 4 words, how, relax, into this. It ends in a question mark because it's a question. But it's a very special type of question. It's a rhetorical question. Pat, what's a rhetorical question?
There are 2 different types of questions. There's the hard-ass questions you have to answer, and then there's the lazy bastard questions you don't have to answer. And the lazy bastard questions are the rhetorical questions.
Well said. Well said, my young Padawan. So, by asking this rhetorical question, it helps our subconscious to be more alert and more mindful to what's going on. And it's setting us up to relax on the out-breath. Below that, and I will highlight it on the screen for you. So we've just been discussing this first line. Now we're going to discuss the second line. So on the left, we see the word converse. So that means everything that comes after the colon, we're just going to recite conversationally. We're not going to sing it or chant it or intone it. We're just going to recite it conversationally, the way you would talk to someone over a cup of coffee at a Starbucks. And the statement is, and I'll read it for you, neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the disliked, is universal. So in Buddhism, there's the idea of dukkha, which comes from a dead language called Pali. And dukkha can be translated either as suffering or stress. And sometimes it can be very, very dramatic. Other times it can be ridiculously subtle. So whenever we experience the frustration of not getting what we want when we want it, that's stress. Whenever we experience the frustration of not keeping what we'd like for as long as we like, that's stress. And whenever we endure something we don't like, that's stress. So the first noble truth is, guess what, guys? We're not always going to get what we want when we want it. Life is not always going to be satisfactory. Now, there's a lot of self-help people running around saying you can have it all whenever you want it. Just participate in my course for $1,000 a week, and you too can manifest your next Rolls Royce. Well, Buddha didn't teach that. Buddha said, dude, I can teach you how to not lose your shit when life turns to crap. Teach you how not to lose your mind when the shit hits the fan. The first thing is to recognize that it's not unusual to experience dissatisfaction. And so what we're going to do is we're going to touch each pinky to its thumb while reciting that conversationally 9 times. Let's do that together right now. So I invite both Pat and Pianki to mute your microphones so that we don't blow up the entire internet. You should be able to do that. There should be something you can tap on the panel of your touch screen. Just tap it for a second, and it should give you a list of... There you go. Well done. Well done. So all 3 of us, let's recite conversation. On the in-breath, we're going to silently and mentally recite, how relax into this. And now we recite aloud, neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the disliked, is universal. Breathe in. And every time we breathe in, we recite, how relax into this. Out breath, neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the disliked, is universal. 3rd time. Neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the disliked, is universal. Now, here's what separates the men from the boys. On the out breath, we have 2 jobs. The first job is to recite. The second job is to relax. You could think of it as sort of like the contemplative version of R and R. So, for the next 3 repetitions, let's focus on relaxing as much as we physically can during the verbal recitation. On the in-breath, we perform the mental recitation, which is a fancy way of saying we ask the question silently and mentally. Let's do that right now. Neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the disliked, is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the disliked, is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired, as well as enduring the dislike, is universal. You'll notice that the last word of that sentence is underlined, universal. Every being, everything that can feel and emote has experienced at some times satisfaction and at other times frustration. Therefore, suffering is the great unifier. Someone could be fat, someone could be slim, someone could be buff, someone could be wimpy, someone could be healthy, someone could be sick, someone could be male, someone could be female. But we're all unified by experiencing, in our experience, of dissatisfaction. So let's prepare to recite this conversationally 3 more times. And as always, we choose to recite and relax during the out breath. We're going to add something new into the mix. During the in breath, when you silently and mentally recite, how relax into this, I want you to close your right eye and gaze with your left eye. On your out breath, I want you to close your left eye and gaze with your right eye. Now you might say, why the hell are we doing that? And the answer is, that way we're working both sides of the brain. One of the types of meditation that Buddha taught was walking meditation. And walking meditation can be very healing physically because it's stimulating alternately both sides of the brain. There's a part of the brain in the center of the brain towards the bottom called the hippocampus. It's where temporary memories are stored. It fills up during the day, and at night when we go to sleep, as we go to sleep, it empties out. Kind of like a bucket that catches the rain when the roof leaks. But here's the problem. When things that we experience subjectively as trauma, they get stuck in the bucket and they build up, and they can make us into what Pat would call a cranky bastard. Bilateral stimulation, whether it's from walking or whether it's from sitting and alternately looking through each eye, helps to empty the bucket of stuff that sticks in there. And that doesn't mean we're going to forget our traumas. It means they're not going to control us as much. And that's a good thing. Because while it may be appropriate for a little teeny child to have a nightmare and run screaming through the house, it's unfortunate when a grown man does that. So, for the last 3 repetitions of this exercise, on the in-breath, we gaze with our left eye. On the out-breath, we gaze with our right. How relax into this? Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. 3 times. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. Come on now, do it with me. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. I'm going to scroll down the page. Now, we're going to do this exact same exercise again. The difference is this time, instead of reciting it conversationally, we're going to whisper it. In Tibet, they would say we can be coarse, middling, or subtle. By switching from conversational to whispering, we're going from middling to subtle. We're shifting gears energetically. So let's do this for about 9 breaths, and then I'll field any questions you might have. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. We are not trying to believe this. We're not trying to emote. We're not trying to convince ourselves of anything. All we're trying to do is recite and relax. But during the in-breath, when we ask the question, how relax into this, we're noticing, whether we're noticing our circumstance or our sensations or our emotions or our thoughts, whatever. We don't choose what we notice. It's a passive process. You know, like getting hit in the face with a pie. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. One of the things I love about liberal Buddhism is that it requires no blind belief, but merely common sense. No one goes through life without crying at least once. We all have drunk of dissatisfaction. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. There's not a single actor who hasn't been rejected from a part that he thought was great, that he was great for. There's not a single writer, Pat's a writer, there's not a single writer who hasn't had a manuscript rejected. And as a boy, there's not a single boy who hasn't asked out a pretty girl and been rejected at least once. I know of no one who has batted 1,000 when it comes to romance. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. Neither getting nor keeping the desired as well as enduring, the disliked is universal. All right. If anyone has any questions about the first quarter of this practice, open your mic and ask it now.
Hello?
Yes.
Now, it was neither getting or keeping this desire as well as doing the desire is universal.
And your question?
Now, I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
Oh, you're not driving right now, are you?
No.
Okay. Well, it should be on your screen. I'm on the screen share right now, so it should be on the screen on your phone. You see that?
Let me see. Oh, okay. Now the getting or keeping the desire. Okay, as well as enduring the dislike is universal. Okay.
Right. Kind of like some guys hit the treadmill after they lifted the iron, and it basically is like torture.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
You have to endure that. Okay, so now, so hopefully the remaining 3 quarters of this will be more lucid for you because you'll be looking at your phone. Okay, so I invite you to mute your mic again. And now we've come to page 5, the second noble truth of causation. As a liberal, we practice this theoretically, which means we explore universal interdependence. Now, Bianchi, would you please hit the mute function so we don't... Well done, sir. Okay, so as we look at the second exercise on page 9, we begin the same way with the same rhetorical question, how relax into this? And that's good. The first third, the conversational recitation, is about interdependence. And so the question reads, or actually not a question, the observation reads, be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. You could ask a cosmologist, you can ask a particle physicist, you can ask an engineer, you can ask a biologist, you can ask a psychologist. Everything affects everything else. Everything is affected by everything else. It's kind of like if you're in high school and you're in the school cafeteria and there's a food fight. You're going to get messy. That's just how it works. So, be it causes. Mom and dad making love gave birth to us. Everything has a cause, whether we know it or not. Everything has a cause. Conditions. We affect our conditions affect us. Components. We have many, many, many components in our body. But if an organ stops working, we're going to notice it. So we are dependent upon our components, and the components are dependent upon the rest of our body. And then we have the fourth C, which is conceptions. Thoughts affect the world around us. Thoughts affect our perceptions. Thoughts affect how we speak. Thoughts affect how we act. Thoughts affect how we treat others and how others experience us. So everything affects everything. And once again, we don't have to believe this blindly. If you give a kid a set of dominoes, 9 times out of 10, they will stand the dominoes on their edge. And they'll push the first one over. And we'll watch in glee as the domino hits the second, hits the third, hits the fourth, hits the fifth. So any kid can tell you about interdependence as long as you give them a domino. So this is a fundamental teaching in Buddhism, that this isn't like Hinduism, where we believe that our lives are at the whim and caprice of various gods and goddesses. We believe that, or we observe that, everything seems to affect everything else naturally, normally. When it rains, you get wet. When it's summer, you get hot. When it's winter, you get cold. Things affect other things all the time. When we're tense, our muscles get tight. When we get into a hot bath, our muscles relax. So there's always something affecting everything else. Mystery solved. This time we're going to count with our ring fingers. So please touch your left ring finger to your thumb and your right ring finger to your right thumb. If you have a mala, please count a quarter mala on your left ring finger while simultaneously mirroring the gesture on your right hand. Let's jump right in. Conversationally for 9 breaths, relaxing as best you can. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. And hopefully you're able to read this okay, Bianchi. Remember, on the in-breath, gaze with the left eye, and on the out-breath, gaze with the right eye. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. There is a myth, my friends, that meditation is all about breath work. Well, it's not all about breath work, but we are reciting this in harmony with our breath. When we breathe in, we silently and mentally ask the rhetorical question. And during the out breath, we relax and we recite. And if that's all you do, every morning and every evening, you will make progress on the path. And by this time next month, people should really see a difference. Let's continue. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. By the way, there is a distinct possibility, after doing this 20 minutes every morning and 20 minutes every evening, that after doing this for 7 days, they'll be sick of this. And luckily, that's okay, because next week's exercises are completely different. Let's continue with the whisper. How relax into this? Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. So that's kind of tricky. Let's explore this wording a bit further. We are not independent from our causes. We are not independent from our conditions. We are not independent from our components. We're not independent from our thoughts. Therefore, independence is an illusion. The difference between a fundamentalist and one of the differences between a fundamentalist and a liberal is liberals understand that some things are literal and some things are figurative, and fundamentalists kind of look at everything as literal. So, many times over the centuries, over the millennia, great saints have used metaphors to describe everything as an illusion. But that's a metaphor. Literally, everything exists, but not the way it sometimes seems to. And so, when things seem to be independent, that is the illusion. Let's continue. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Be it causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. causes, conditions, components, or conceptions. Independence is but an illusion. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions. Independence is but an illusion. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions. Independence is but an illusion. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions. Independence is but an illusion. You'll notice we're not chanting this at Mach 5 with our hair on fire. We're just relaxing. We're doing this very gently. Our main goal is to notice on the in-breath and relax on the out-breath. And if we just keep doing it, we'll be fine. And you'll be noticing, or you will notice that we're doing just a quarter mala each. And don't worry, you can order your mala through the website from Amazon. And it's pretty nominal. Let's continue. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. Via causes, conditions, components, or conceptions, independence is but an illusion. All right, if anyone has any questions about this, I invite you to open your mic and ask me now.
Lama Jigme, I've got a question.
All right.
While I'm doing the alternating eye thing, I'm noticing I'm alternating breathing through my nostrils at the same time. Does that matter? Is that important?
That's an excellent question. Good mindfulness from Pat. Well done. Scooby snack for Pat.
My chocolate.
So we're not going to control the breath. The breath is, in the words of Ray Charles, the breath's going to do what it's going to do. Okay, that wasn't actually what he said. That's a paraphrase. He said, it's going to do what it's going to do. But let's not control the breath. Let's just control our eyelids. That's enough.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
Let's move on to part 3. Okay, the third noble truth of cessation. Now, there's a myth among fundamentalists. Cessation means that suffering stops. No, there's always going to be something or another. We're always going to feel sensations and emotions and thoughts. Some will be pleasurable, some will be painful. The liberation the Buddha offers us is not the liberation from the presence of that which is not satisfactory, but from the tyranny of that which is not satisfactory. When we can, to paraphrase Shakespeare, when we can withstand the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune without losing our damn minds, that is what Buddha offers us. So one of the things that helps us in our pursuit of that is to explore the possibility of change. So let's take a gander at this first exercise. Let's count our mala, if we have one, with our right middle finger. If you don't have a mala, simply touch your right middle finger to its thumb. And then do likewise with your left hand. Touch your left middle finger to its thumb. The in-breath is the same. We silently and mentally ask the rhetorical question, how relax into this? On the out-breath, we conversationally recite, ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Once again, a lot of people say everything's non-graspable. Well, no, I can pretty much grab, a glass of water. I can grab a pencil. If I've got a girlfriend, I can grab her. She can grab it back. It's lovely. But there's nothing permanent to grasp. Bianchi, if you and I were hiking and I slipped, I grabbed your arm, and I was just hanging there because the path fell away. How long could I hang there? I probably couldn't hang there forever because eventually I'll be gone. I'll die. I won't have any arm to grab you with, and eventually you'll die. You won't have any arm for me to hold on to. So impermanence renders everything ungraspable, like an ice cube on the sidewalk on a hot day. It's not going to last very long. And once again, whoops, Bianchi disappeared. Let's keep going. So we do not require blind faith. We can see in nature. With the passing of the seasons, we see the impermanence of a year. With the waxing and the waning of the moon, we see the impermanence of a month. With the rising and the setting of the sun, we see the impermanence of a day. And right now, we can take our hands, we can place it upon our upper chest. We can feel it swell. We can feel it sink. And observe the impermanence of a breath. That is why it is written, ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Nine breaths. Here we go. Or I should say, yes, 9 breaths. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Remember, on the in-breath, we silently and mentally ask the rhetorical question. On the out-breath, we recite and we relax to the best of our ability. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. And now, for the next 19 breaths, we whisper. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. Ever-changing, one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. All right, 3/4 of this guided meditation has been practiced. We come to the 4th portion. Yep, I've taken a drinking. Okay, 4th noble truth of path. The essence of the path is to notice and relax. When should we do it? As much as possible. When we read this couplet, which is simply a set of 2 lines, it is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. Everything that happens, whether it's pleasurable or it's painful, is a contemplative opportunity. If we squander our pleasure mindlessly, we miss a contemplative opportunity. If we squander our pain mindlessly, this act the fool, we miss out on a contemplative opportunity. Making the most of pleasure is what mindfulness meditation when eating is all about, or mindfulness meditation while making love is all about. That is the root of Buddhist Tantra, bringing mindfulness into something quite delightful. We can also bring mindfulness into something quite wretched, like feeling sick, or feeling sad, or feeling scared. So everything that happens is an opportunity. Let's make the most of it. And therefore, everything becomes the path as long as we notice and relax. Please hold your mala with your right index finger. If you don't have a mala, simply touch your right index finger to its thumb and do that likewise with your left hand. It is extremely important together, to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. Yep, you could call this reading meditation. I call it the quick path to enlightenment. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. Remember, on the in-breath, gaze with your left eye. On your out-breath, gaze with your right eye. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. And now we shall practice it in a whisper. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. On the in-breath, we silently and mentally ask the rhetorical question. On the out-breath, we recite and we relax to the best of our ability. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. Take your time. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. It is extremely important to make the most of these freedoms and opportunities we have received. Okay, if you have a mala, coil it up and set it aside. We're going to conclude our practice in a very special way. You see, we've just generated a lot of very positive energy. Now we're going to aim it in a very positive direction. On the out-breath, we recite, "May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being." A fundamentalist may choose to believe they're praying, but a liberal says, no, I'm guiding my intention with my words. Rather, I guide my energy with my intention, and I guide my intention with my words. So let's do that right now. And I like to place my hands together just to help center the energy. May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being. 3 more times together. May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being. May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being. May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being. Now, if to the left we could notice the word chant. Oopsie, chant. Now you don't have to chant if you don't want to, but if you want to, you may notice that the first syllable has an accent, and the second to the last, the first vowel has an accent, and the second to the last pronounced vowel also has an accent. And that's what we emphasize. May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being. May I accomplish great benefits spontaneously for each being. I hope you've had fun. You really can't know if this practice is of any benefit unless you use it every morning and every evening for 6.5 consecutive days. Have fun. If you have questions, write them or type them in the comment area of this video. Pat, hang in there. Everyone else, hang loose.